What is the most creepiest thing you saw even though you are very skeptical about paranormal things? This happened back when we were like in 3rd grade. It was around 7 p.m. right when the sun was almost set. My cousins swore that one of my grandma's friends was in their backyard, knocking on the window in their room and trying to talk to them. Although not entirely strange for her to be back there, she regularly helped my grandma with her garden. At this point she had been reported missing and nobody even knew where she was. It was only later that we learned she was already dead sometime that morning. She had been stabbed several times and her body found in a dumpster nearby. I don't know who the F my cousin saw that night. Something like that happened to my family. It's like the dead come to see whoever they want before they leave to the afterlife. My aunt Ann died and my other Aunt Dee, her sister, was packing her things ready to go to the funeral. Her son, my cousin, asked her who that woman was in that red dress in his room. Of course my Aunt Dee was confused. My cousin didn't really know Aunt Ann that well. When they went to the funeral, you know what color my dead Aunt Ann was wearing in her casket? Red. The girl I was babysitting one night came running out of her room crying, saying something was walking by her window. Now I get a lot of creepy stories and things from the kids I babysit. They have crazy imagination. So I go check, not really thinking anything. Something runs by the window as I'm checking it out. A distinctly humanoid figure. At this point I needed a diaper as much as the little girl I was babysitting. So I text the parents asking about it. And no crap, this is the response I get. Oh my god, you saw it too? Yeah, I cried. Called the cops too. They came by and said they didn't see anything around. The thing is, the parents had called the cops several times before too for the same reason. One of the freakiest times I've ever babysat. Reminds me of that classic ghost story about a statue the family didn't actually have. Can I cover up the clown statue? The kids don't like it? Get out of the house and take my clown statue, we don't have any kids. Wait, what? What in the F? That's horrifying. Did you ever follow up with the family? Maybe they caught the creep eventually. Sick F got what he deserved. A handful of times, I would feel the corner of the bed lower as if someone sat down on it. Whenever it happened, I would refuse to turn over and just face the wall until I fell asleep. That was over 25 years ago. Wow. I experienced the same thing. Randomly, over the period of about 2 years, I would be laying in bed trying to fall asleep and feel someone sit on the bed. The first time it happened I sat straight up and turned my bedside lamp on. Nothing. I figured I was dreaming and laid back down, turned the lamp off, and stared into the darkness of my room. A few minutes later it happened again. Scared the crap out of me. So, a few nights a week for a couple of years this would happen. I would also feel the motion of the bed when it stood back up. I eventually began speaking to it sometimes and asking it to sit or stand on command. It eventually would on cue. Then, one night it stopped, just like it hadn't ever happened at all. And it never happened again for the 3 remaining years I lived there. Maybe it got tired of you making it do things on command and decided to peace out. Aha. My aunt has a story of her and her siblings sharing the same experience while in 3 separate rooms. My aunt and I were driving in the town she went to school in. We drove past a house and I remarked how bad it looked. She replied, "It is worse inside. That place is haunted." I had never heard my aunt talk of anything paranormal and I haven't since. The story goes that the 3 of them rented out some sketchy house while going to school. Apparently, strange things would happen that made them feel uncomfortable but never anything crazy. They would all notice occasionally they would wake up in the night with the blankets off and at the foot of the bed. Nothing strange, people kick of blankets when they get too hot all the time. One night, my aunt recounts that she had a dream she was falling and needed to grab onto something to save herself. She suddenly realized that she wasn't dreaming, and she was being pulled by her ankles out of her bed. She grabbed the rails of the headboard and after a few horrifying moments she gets the strength to scream. At the same time she hears screams from her siblings' rooms. Just as soon as it started, the feeling ended, and she ran to check on them. They all had the same feeling of being pulled out of their bed. Needless to say they moved out and didn't look back. Guess who shouldn't have read this right before bed? Yup, I literally just pulled my feet back into my blanket while reading that. You sleep with your feet exposed? I always lift up the blanket and tuck it under my feet when I sleep. Always. I can't sleep otherwise. I also subscribe to the notion that ghosts/demons/monsters/aliens can't possibly find a way through my impenetrable blanket force field. Going to visit grandfather's grave when I was in my mid-20s. My grandfather was buried in a really old graveyard where the oldest graves were in the center, like before Civil War times. It was really in the boonies, so it's like middle of nowhere with old church-type graveyard. Anyway, you have to walk the graveyard and my grandfather is buried way in the back, so I hike up and say a few things and enjoy the quiet for a while, then start back down and detour a bit to look at some of the old gravestones. There is this one particular huge gravestone in the exact center, just massive compared to the others, which looks like a giant cut of rock was stood on end and the marking were simply chiseled in. It also is the only grave marking with an old iron fence around the plot, so it is really overgrown in comparison to the well-maintained plots. So I amble over and look at this and try to read it, but the grass is really blocking the dates, so I lean over the fence to brush aside and look for details. And just as I read 1790, something, well, rattles right next to my ear. Immediately, I think rattlesnake and jerk up. And as I do, something pushed me back hard. I actually skidded back about 3 feet and landed on my butt. I kind of freak a bit, looking around, and trying to figure out what the hell happened. I looked down at the base of the grave trying to see if I saw a snake or something, and then blinked because something was wrong. I couldn't figure it out at once, then sort of shuddered and then really looked. And there was something causing the air to blur in front of me when I looked at the grave, but had edges so everything was clear around it. I suddenly broke out in a cold sweat and butt scooted back so fast I hit my tailbone on a gravestone. I jumped up and half ran down the hill to the bridge to the parking lot and stopped right when I got to it to calm a bit. And then I turned around and looked up. And I saw the air blur moving down the hill between the goddamn stones toward me, and it was vaguely human-shaped. I could literally see the effing movement as details went blurry and refocused as it moved. It wasn't fast, but it was coming. That did it. I tore butt across the bridge, jumped in my car and burned rubber out of the lot. It's been nearly 20-something years since that time, and even typing this has got me jittery. Just thinking about seeing the world blurred without any reason to it, and it's moving toward you. Christ. Was working as an EMT in a rural small town for a few years. Was up late after a run finishing my report when I started hearing someone come down some wooden stairs in the bay about 40 feet from me. The stairs go up to a training room and it's just me and my partner there. I go look, nothing there. I go sit back down and try to finish the report. Sound gets loud and fast down the stairs, so I just get up and start walking out when the plug-in for the ambulance just shoots out and crashes against the wall. Decided to finish my reports in the bunk rooms. Had a room in our hotel where a murder occurred, got multiple complaints that the sheets have blood stains and the lights won't turn on from different guests every couple weeks. Whenever we'd check the room, no issues. One time after moving the guests, got a noise complaint that there was screaming coming from the room. Checked the room, empty. Listened to the neighbors' rooms and didn't note any noise either. We had never publicly released that the murder occurred in that room, and nobody but staff knew. I'm skeptical, but creeped me out. It was a Saturday, I was taking a nap. In my dreams a girl with a white dress came to me, got near my ear, and started screaming. I instantly woke up, and I heard the door ringing. It was a friend that came over. The moment he comes in he asks if I'm with a girl at home. I was like, why are you asking? He said that he rang the bell and a girl answered. He asked if I was home, and she said yes. He's sleeping, they'll wake him up. Just a second. I was freaking traumatized. Such a bro. There's a section of the warehouse I work in that's from the 1940s and is said to be haunted. Well, I was on the second floor one night, shift is 9 p.m. to 5 a.m., when I saw someone lean out of one of the aisleways along the side of the main walkway, notice me, and lean back in, almost as if they were just checking to see who was there. Thinking it was my manager, I called out to him and walked over, but nobody was there. Being that this section of warehouse is 80-ish years old, the floors are all wooden and incredibly loud. There is no possible way someone could move around up there without making footsteps or creaks. I heard nothing, saw nothing else, and nobody else was on that floor. A very similar experience just happened to me. My sister passed away a few weeks ago and I spent that night in a hotel across the street from the hospital. I saw a silhouette figure lean out from the wall, back in, out again to check the room and then back into the wall. I screamed and my husband was facing me and noticed my whole face change as I saw it. One night, I was driving the car with my friend in the passenger seat. We were taking back roads just listening to music. There was nobody else around, and the stretch we were in was without streetlights. Out of nowhere, two blaring lights shined in the rearview mirror. I swear, I looked at the mirror and saw a car right behind me. Since nobody had been around just seconds ago, I assumed the car must be driving pretty effing fast. So I floored it. I braced myself for impact. A second later, when nothing happened, I looked back at the rearview mirror. There was nothing but the faint red from my own tail lights. I slowed and told my friend what I just saw. She admitted, she did not see any such lights. She did, however, get a creepy feeling and shivered just moments before I saw it. The cherry on top? The road we were on is one that my driver's ed instructor had me drive on, 16 long years ago. On that same stretch of road, he was telling me a story about some teen who was driving recklessly and drunk on that street. He went on describing the kid and how he went driving along with his buddies, up until we came to a slight curve, and he pointed to a memorial cross on the side of the road, and that's where he crashed. My skeptical brain wants to chalk these headlights up to a hallucination, but I've never had a visual hallucination before. It's been years since this event occurred and this most plausible explanation still doesn't make sense. The one and only time in my 32 years that I've ever had a hallucination, just happened to be when my friend got the shudders as we were driving down this same road. I mean, I think that's still more likely than ghosts, but this was the one thing I've experienced that I really can't figure out. I don't find it creepy, but I bought my house last year after the old owner passed away. Because I was working on renovations, I didn't initially sleep in the main bedroom, but on several occasions I would walk by the room and see my dog curled up in the middle of the floor. From the wear patterns in the carpet, you could tell where the furniture had been, and where my dog slept corresponded to the foot of the bed. I like to think that my dog was keeping the old owner company while he got comfortable with me. Edit, thanks for the award. Second edit, thank you for all the awards. That's very kind. And to confirm, my dog is the best boy. My grandmother had a story of dreaming a woman with long black hair was strangling her. When she woke up, she was holding several long black hairs. No one in the house had hair past their chin and none of it was black. I had one where I was camping on a college class trip, and we were in an empty New England campground in late fall. It was all very Blair Witch and creepy, but the night was uneventful. We'd been getting ready to go the next morning and I ran to the bathrooms while the vans were being loaded. I was in a stall and someone came in and got into the stall next to me. I was tired and a bit irritated because there were a bunch of open stalls and I don't like people in the one next to me, so when I finished I glanced under the door to see whose shoes they were, since we were literally the only people on site and there wasn't a damn thing there. I had heard the door, the footsteps, the lock of the stall door rattling into place, and there was no one else in the room with me. I hightailed it out of there and got the hell on the van. Scared me all the more with it being a sunny morning without an ounce of creepy to prime me to hear things. Edit, I almost forgot the one that scared the absolute crap out of me in high school. I woke up having a hypnopompic hallucination for the first and only time in my life. I saw someone leaning over looking into my mirror and I immediately thought it was my sister stealing my makeup in the dark. Then I heard the shower running. Our parents had overlapping day and night shifts and no one was home except for us two. Then the damn figure straightened up and stared at me. I nearly had a heart attack and scrambled for my book light. Shined it over there and there was nothing. Turned it off and it was back and still moving. Slept with the light on for 3 days. Lights flashing in my bedroom at night when I was around 12. It looked like an invisible man walking around in the room and taking pictures with a camera, but all we could see were the flashes. It happened from 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., a flash every few minutes or so. I had 2 of my friends with me who slept over. That's how I know I didn't dream or imagine it. I was a manager at a pet store, and we used paper bags. This elderly lady bought a couple things, and was rung through and then continued to browse for a bit while she waited for friends/family. As I was filling out something on one of the unused tills for paperwork, I noticed this woman's paper bag start to leak out of the corner. Then turned into a steady stream that did not stop. At first, I was like maybe she put a bottle of water on the bag upside down, no biggie. So I went over to point out her bottle was leaking in her bag. She didn't notice, and then I looked into the bag. No bottle, nothing that could have been leaking. It was a clear bag of biscuits packaged in store, and a bully stick. I took the bag of biscuits out and it was completely full of water, draining out of the corner, but here's the paranormal/unexplained bit: the bag never decreased in level of water. It just kept pouring water with no stopping. Me and a few customers just watched it for 10 seconds before I realized I should take it outside. So I did, customers in tow, and just sat the bag down while it continued to pour. And after 30 seconds after I put it down, the bag's water level started to sudden decrease and was empty in like 5 seconds. I was effing floored. Like, what did I just witness? A bag that was magically connected to a source of water? I don't and still don't know. I watched the cameras over so many times and couldn't explain it. I still think about it from time to time as it still rattles my brain. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.